Hello everybody, welcome to another video by Lani. Um, this video, I actually don't like it. I really don't like it. Not really, but like, I don't know, something feels off about it. Like, I feel like some parts I just don't really, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know, like, I really don't. But I hope you guys enjoy it at least, because I don't know, I already made like a Atsumu jealous video, so I wanted to, do the reverse, like a Sakusa jealous video. And I actually got some help by this YouTuber, Yasmin. Thank you, because I was in her Discord server and she told me to like do it so they're not dating yet. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll try that out. And here it is. But I don't know. I'm still not the biggest fan of it, but that's just because I think I rushed it because I wanted to get it out this week, so y'all had a video. But I don't know. I think I'm just kind of yapping. But I hope you all enjoy this video, and here it is.
Sun spilled across the school's courtyard, dappling the grass and benches where students gathered during free periods. Sakusa and Atsumu had claimed their usual spot, a shaded bench tucked beneath a sprawling tree. Sakusa leaned against Atsumu's side, his shoulder pressed against Atsumu's chest, legs stretched out lazily. Atsumu's arm was draped casually across Sakusa's shoulders, his fingers idly playing with the hem of Sakusa's jacket. It wasn't unusual for them to be this close. Everyone who knew them have seen it a million times, how Sakusa tolerated Atsumu's obnoxious touches in a way he allowed no one else. Suna and Osamu approached from the vending machine, sodas in hand, with Komori trailing behind. The trio stopped short when they saw the scene in front of them. Wow. Suna deadpanned. Could you two be more obvious? Right. Just kiss already. Osamu added, cracking open his can. Komori grinned as he sat down on the edge of the bench. Honestly, at this point, I feel like I should start planning your wedding. Shut up. Sakusa muttered, though he made no move to sit up or push Atsumu away. You know. Atsumu chimed in, a lazy grin spreading across his face. If I was dating Omi, you'd be real jealous. Suna raised an eyebrow. Jealous of what exactly? Everything. He's gorgeous, he's smart. Stop talking. Sakusa interrupted, glaring up at him, though his cheeks have turned an obvious shade of pink. And he's got great taste in best friends. Atsumu finished, ignoring the glare. The others burst into laughter, and Sakusa rolled his eyes. You're so annoying. Sakusa muttered. You're practically cuddling with my brother, I don't think you find him too annoying. Atsumu smirked and leaned closer to Sakusa's ear. They're just jealous. He whispered, voice low enough that only Sakusa could hear. Sakusa turned his head to glare at him, their faces mere inches apart. Atsumu's grin softened. You're cute. He murmured. Sakusa's breath hitched, but he quickly pushed Atsumu's face away with his palm. Shut up. Yeah, so adorable, Omi. Atsumu teased, laughing as he grabbed Sakusa's wrist to keep him from shoving harder. Komori, Osamu, and Suna exchanged knowing looks, their teasing grins saying everything. As the bell eventually rang for lunch, the two walked across campus, falling into easy conversation. Atsumu's arm was draped lazily around Sakusa's shoulders, fingers casually tugging at the zipper of Sakusa's jacket. You hear about Yui and Shoji? Atsumu asked, his voice low like he was about to share the hottest scoop of the week. Sakusa raised an eyebrow. What about them? Atsumu grinned. Shoji got caught texting Reina, during gym, on Yui's phone. Sakusa turned his head, meeting Atsumu's gaze. That's like, impressively stupid. I know, right? Atsumu chuckled. And apparently, Reina didn't even know about Yui. Shoji's playing both of M, and no. Why Yui's ready to fight Reina? Sakusa scoffed. Why do people make everything so complicated? If you don't want to be with someone, just leave. Some people just like the drama. Atsumu said, his fingers brushing against Sakusa's shoulder as he adjusted his grip. He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping conspiratorially. But if it were me, and I was dating someone like you, I'd never even think about cheating. Sakusa tilted his head, a playful smirk tugging at his lips. Really? His tone was light, teasing, but there was a flicker of intrigue in his dark eyes. Atsumu's grin widened, and they came to a slow halt on the path. Yeah. He said softly, his amber eyes locked on Sakusa's. You're too good to even look at someone else, you know? Sakusa felt the faintest flutter in his chest but kept his composure. He took a deliberate step closer, their shoes nearly touching. And here I thought you liked the drama. Only when I'm watching it happen. Atsumu replied, his voice a touch deeper now. I wouldn't wanna screw up something that actually mattered. For a moment, the world around them faded, just the sound of their breathing and the slight buzz of students in the distance. Sakusa's lips twitched. So if we were dating, you'd be perfect? Perfectly devoted. Atsumu quipped, leaning down just enough to make the moment linger. Sakusa's heart raced, though his face stayed impassive. Good to know. He said, stepping around Atsumu and continuing down the path. Wait, that's it? No award for being a dream boyfriend? Atsumu called, jogging to catch up. You're assuming I'd even date you. Sakusa shot back, the corners of his mouth quirking up despite himself. You totally would. Atsumu said confidently, falling into step beside him. When they reached their usual lunch spot, Sakusa sat down at the table, unpacking his bento. Atsumu stayed standing, fiddling with the strap of his bag as if he'd just remembered something. Oh, Omi, I forgot, I can't eat lunch with you today. Atsumu said, his tone light. Sakusa paused mid-motion, chopsticks hovering above his food. Why not? I promised Eri I'd eat with her. Atsumu replied, rubbing the back of his neck. Sakusa's expression barely shifted, but there was a stiffness in the way he set his chopsticks down. Okay. Atsumu frowned at the clipped tone. Is that okay? He asked, leaning closer. It's fine. Sakusa said flatly, focusing on his food. Atsumu crouched down so they were at eye level. Omi? He pressed, his voice softer now. Atsumu squeezes the other's cheeks together, making him unable to speak clearly. Are you sure? Sakusa's eyes flicked up to meet his and nods. But Atsumu didn't move. Instead, he moved his hand to cup Sakusa's cheek. Sakusa's breath caught, his lips parting slightly as Atsumu's thumb brushed against his bottom lip in a slow, deliberate motion. Yeah, so dramatic. Atsumu teased, ruffling Sakusa's curls with the same hand before standing up. I'll see you later. Sakusa stared at him, frozen, as Atsumu walked off. His cheek tingled where Atsumu had touched it, and a faint heat crept up his neck. He quickly pulled out his phone and texted Komori. Komori and Sakusa private messages. Come sit with me. What happened? Hello. You always do this. Stop edging me. Kyumi. Tell me. Sakusa locked his phone without replying. Moments later, Komori appeared with Osamu and Suna in tow. What's with the entourage? Sakusa asked, raising an eyebrow. Entourage? Osamu repeated, feigning offense. We're your friends, kid. Sure, but I didn't ask for you guys to come over here. Sakusa shot back, though he moved his bag to make room for them. The three sat down, their attention immediately zeroing in on him. Where's Atsumu? With someone. Sakusa said vaguely, poking at his food. Who? Komori pressed. Some girl. Sakusa replied, not looking up. They exchanged pitting looks, and Sakusa scowled. I honestly don't care. He said firmly. Right, of course. Osamu said, though his tone was dripping with sarcasm. Komori leaned closer, his voice louder than necessary. What did you want to tell me earlier? Sakusa shot him a sharp look. What are you talking about? He stopped, noticing his cousin's hand unconsciously brushing against his lips. Wait. He said, his eyes narrowing. Did something happen? Sakusa exhaled sharply. He touched my face before he left. It wasn't anything, but it. He stopped himself. It what? Suna prompted, his voice unusually serious. It made me feel like I wanted something else to happen. Sakusa admitted quietly. Osamu and Suna exchanged looks. You like him? Komori said matter-of-factly. I do know. Sakusa said quickly, glaring at him. I was just curious, that's all. The three stared at him in disbelief, but Sakusa waved them off, picking up his chopsticks again. Drop it. For once, they did. But as they ate lunch, Sakusa couldn't shake the lingering warmth of Atsumu's hand on his cheek, or the fleeting thought of what it might feel like if Atsumu didn't pull away next time. The fluorescent lights of the convenience store hummed softly as Atsumu and Sakusa wandered through the aisles, their backpacks slung lazily over their shoulders. Sakusa grabbed a sugary drink and a bag of candy while Atsumu inspected energy drinks. You wanna come over after this? Sakusa asked, his voice casual but hopeful. Atsumu froze for a moment, then winced. I can't. I'm hanging out with Eri. Sakusa didn't respond right away, just stared at the drink in his hand like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. Sorry Omi. Atsumu said, guilt-lacing his voice. If you don't want me to, I won't. Sakusa finally looked at him, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he shook his head. It's fine. You sure? Atsumu stepped closer, his brows furrowed in concern. Yes. Sakusa said firmly, though his tone was clipped. Without warning, Atsumu pulled Sakusa into a half hug, his hands resting low on Sakusa's waist. I'll make it up to ya, promise. Sakusa stiffened for a second before relaxing into the embrace, his arms loosely hanging at his sides. Atsumu pulled away with a grin, ruffling Sakusa's hair as they made their way to the counter to pay. They left the store and went their separate ways, a strange tension hanging in the air. When Sakusa got home, he threw his bag onto the couch and grabbed his phone, dialing Komori. Haikyuu. Komori greeted cheerfully. What's up? Nothing much. Sakusa said, kicking off his shoes and collapsing onto the couch. What are you doing? Studying, you? I just got home. They talked aimlessly for a while about school and volleyball until Komori casually said. I'm honestly surprised you're not with Atsumu. Sakusa groaned loudly. Don't even get me started. Komori perked up. Oh, this sounds good, still. For the past week, it's been airy this and airy that. Sakusa ranted, his voice rising slightly. All he talks about is her. And if I have to hear one more story about how nice she is or how funny she is, I think I might lose it. Komori went silent for a beat, then burst out laughing. Oh my gosh. You're jealous. I am not jealous. Sakusa snapped, sitting up straighter. You definitely are. Komori teased. You can't handle not being the center of his attention for a second, huh? Whatever. Sakusa muttered, crossing his arms. Komori laughed loudly, grinning into the camera. Shut up. Sakusa replied, but there was no real bite in his words. Komori laughed again. I'll call you later. Alright you big baby, I'll see you. Goodbye. Sakusa said pointedly, ending the call. A few days later. On that weekend, Sakusa found himself in Atsumu's room. They were laid up on the bed, Sakusa's head resting on Atsumu's chest while Atsumu's arm curled around him. Atsumu's free hand was busy texting someone, his fingers flying across the screen. Sakusa stared at the phone, his patience thinning. Who are you still texting? Atsumu froze for a second before locking his phone and tossing it aside. Nobody. Sakusa sat up, prompting Atsumu to mirror him. He raised an eyebrow. Was it Eri? Yeah. Atsumu admitted cautiously. The air in the room shifted, tension creeping in. Sakusa looked down, his fingers fidgeting with the hem of his sweatshirt. What's up, Omi? Atsumu asked, his voice soft. Nothing. Sakusa said quickly, avoiding his gaze. Atsumu stared at him, unconvinced. Omi? Sakusa sighed and folded. It's nothing. You're just, with her a lot recently. She just wanted to be friends. Atsumu explained. I felt bad saying no. Okay. Sakusa said flatly, leaning back against the wall and pulling out his phone. Atsumu snatched it out of his hand. What's wrong? Nothing. Atsumu wasn't buying it. He grabbed Sakusa's chin gently, tilting his face up to meet his eyes. Tell me what's wrong, Omi. he said firmly. Sakusa stayed quiet for a moment before sighing deeply. It just feels like you pushed me aside for her. I know it's stupid, but it made me feel weird. Atsumu blinked, processing his words. Are you jealous? Sakusa clicked his tongue and pushed Atsumu's face away, earning a laugh. Shut up. Sakusa muttered, getting up from the bed. Where are you going? Atsumu asked, jumping up and locking the door before Sakusa could leave. Sakusa glared at Atsumu, but the latter only smiled and took his hand. Without a word, Atsumu led him back to the bed, sitting down with him while still holding his hand. You don't have to be jealous. Atsumu said softly, his thumb brushing lightly over Sakusa's knuckles. There's nothing to worry about. Sakusa pulled his hand away, shifting slightly to put some space between them. His gaze dropped, voice quiet. I'm not jealous. Atsumu tilted his head, studying him. Omi. He said gently. Can you tell me how you really feel? Sakusa frowned. What do you mean? What I mean is. Atsumu started, leaning closer. Be honest. Do you like me? Sakusa froze, his jaw tightening as he avoided Atsumu's gaze. After a moment, he murmured. I just don't like it when your attention isn't on me. Atsumu's lips curved into a soft smile. Yeah. Sakusa's eyes flickered to him, his expression guarded. I don't like sharing you. He admitted, his voice firmer now. Atsumu chuckled, leaning in slightly. And you don't have to. It's been killing me not giving you all my attention this past week. Felt wrong not focusing on you. Sakusa hesitated, his lips twitching downward as if weighing his next words. You're exhausting. He muttered, but there was a softness in his voice. Atsumu grinned, his voice dropping. Maybe. Atsumu leaned in first, moving slowly. Sakusa didn't pull away, meeting Atsumu halfway. Their lips brushed softly, the kiss tentative at first but deepening as Atsumu's hand cupped Sakusa's jaw. Sakusa shifted, moving to straddle Atsumu's lap as the kiss grew more confident. Atsumu's hands rested lightly on Sakusa's hips, holding him steady as they melted into each other. When they pulled apart, their foreheads rested together, both breathing heavily. Atsumu grinned, his amber eyes shining. Why really don't have to share me, Omi? I'm all yours. Sakusa let out a quiet breath, his lips curving slightly. Good. He whispered. Because I don't plan on it. When Sakusa leaned in again, Atsumu pulled back slightly, his hands resting on Sakusa's waist. We should talk more. Sakusa smirked. I expected less talking from you. Sakusa leaned back against the headboard, pulling his knees up slightly. His arms crossed as if shielding himself, but his gaze locked on Atsumu. It wasn't just the time you spent with her that bothered me. It was how easy it seemed for you to just kinda leave me behind. Atsumu's face fell. Omi. Let me finish. Sakusa interrupted, his voice quieter but firm. It's like you didn't even realize how often you'd ditch me. At lunch you were gone. After practice, you were with her. I was kinda just standing there like an idiot, wondering why my best friend suddenly wasn't with me anymore. Atsumu looked down, guilt spreading across his features. I didn't mean. I know you didn't mean to. Sakusa said quickly. But it hurt. It made me feel small. Like I wasn't interesting or fun enough to keep your attention. And I hated myself for feeling that way, because we're just friends. You don't owe me anything, but it still felt like I was losing you. Atsumu's chest tightened at the vulnerability in Sakusa's voice. He reached out, resting a hand on Sakusa's knee. Omi, I never meant to make you feel like that. You're the last person I'd ever want to hurt. Sakusa sighed, his posture softening just a little. I know you didn't. But it doesn't change the fact that you did. Atsumu nodded, his voice low. I'm sorry. I should have noticed. I should have realized way sooner how much I was ignoring ya. There was a pause before Sakusa spoke again, his voice tinged with a hint of vulnerability he rarely showed. I really hated how much it bothered me. I kept telling myself it shouldn't matter because you weren't doing anything wrong. But then I'd see you like laughing with her or rushing off to meet her, and it felt like you were leaving me behind. Atsumu shifted closer, his hand moving to Sakusa's. Omi, you gotta believe me when I say, every single time I was with her, I was thinking about you. Sakusa's head snapped up, his expression caught between disbelief and curiosity. What? Every single time? Atsumu said, his voice gaining a quiet intensity. I'd be sitting there, listening to her talk, and all I could think about was what you were doing without me. Wondering if you were mad or bored or if you even missed me. Sakusa's lips parted slightly, but he didn't say anything. Atsumu laughed softly, shaking his head. It's kinda stupid, huh? I kept thinking about how much I wanted to be with you instead, but I didn't wanna hurt her feelings. I really hate myself for that, Omi. For not just telling her no right from the start. Sakusa's voice was quiet, almost disbelieving. You thought about me that much? I always do. Atsumu admitted, his gaze unwavering. I don't think you get it, Omi. You're my person, I want you to depend on me, I want you to need me, and when I realized I made you feel like I wasn't there for you. He paused, swallowing hard. I hated myself for it. Sakusa's heart twisted at the raw emotion in Atsumu's voice. That's a lot, Atsumu. I know. Atsumu said, his tone almost self-deprecating. I know it's toxic the way I want you to always need me like that, but I don't care. I love you too much to wanna share even a little of you with anyone else. Sakusa's breath hitched. He looked away, his fingers tightening slightly around Atsumu's. You what me? You heard me. Say it again. I said I love you, Kayumi. And it makes me kinda giddy knowing you were jealous. Means I matter just as much to ya. Sakusa scoffed, but the faintest blush crept up his neck. Don't get cocky. Too late. Atsumu teased, grinning. I know it's selfish, but it feels good knowing I get under your skin like that. That I'm not just some guy you hang out with. You've never been just some guy. Sakusa muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Atsumu tilted his head, leaning closer. Yeah. Then what am I, Omi? Sakusa looked at him for a long moment, his eyes searching Atsumu's. Finally, he said. The person I want all to myself. Atsumu's grin softened into something more tender. Good. 'Cause I'm yours, Omi. The weight of those words settled between them, and Sakusa exhaled deeply, some of the tension leaving his body. I still don't like that you hung out with her. And I won't anymore. Atsumu promised, squeezing his hand. I'm done with all that. From now on, it's just us. Sakusa nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Good. Atsumu leaned in, his forehead resting against Sakusa's. No more misunderstandings, yeah? Yeah. Sakusa whispered, his voice steadier now. Their lips met again, softer this time, the kiss carrying the weight of unspoken promises and newfound understanding. When they pulled apart, Sakusa smirked faintly. You're still obnoxious. Atsumu laughed, his eyes crinkling at the corners. And you're still a brat. Sakusa raised an eyebrow, his tone playful. Takes one to know one.
That is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. When I was editing this video, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to like it, or maybe it'll grow on me, but unfortunately, it did not. But honestly, it's fine. I hope you guys liked it. I don't know, it just feels very unnatural to me. It feels forced in a way. Like their actions. At least like the last half. Like the first half I really like, but then everything else just feels unnatural. But whatever. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you for the next one.